And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. So friends, we're still dealing with the wealth game. And today I want to talk about the directional move toward third base. We're moving toward third base. At this point in your life, you might consider yourself successful. You're living within a budget. Your income is sustained and stable. You're making regular contributions to your retirement plan. You have equity in a house. Maybe you have real estate holdings. Maybe, just maybe, you have a business that you're pouring in and trying to increase the value of your company. But for the most part, you might consider yourself successful. You begin accumulating assets. My caution to you is don't do like so many. So many reach second base, they begin growing some assets, and then they stop. They get tired. They have this dollar in their head that they want to amass toward, and they reach it only to find out later in life they should have continued to push and round the bases. So now you've reached second base, and it's time to move to third base. Now, before we get to third base, we got to talk about when do we know we're ready to move to third base? You know, it's a natural progression if you've ever played the game of baseball, that whenever you hit the ball, you run through or turn first base and you get to second base. But I can't think of a person who wants to stand on second base the entire game. Whenever I played baseball, I played shortstop and second base. Those are my two positions. And second base had a lot of action because people were trying to steal from first to second. Second base ended up being right up the gut whenever a batter would drill the ball back at the pitcher. It just had a lot of action around second base. In fact, I was watching this clip of a professional team, and the runner had reached second base and was taunting the pitcher and the catcher like he was going to steal or move rapidly toward third base. And it was just fun to watch because no one wants to be stuck at second base. We want to make it to home plate. We want to score. We want to reach our ultimate goal. But moving from second base is not the same as moving from first to second. Whenever we go from first to second, it's a grind. It is hard. It is building momentum. It's setting patterns. It's building processes. It's setting habits in our lives to help us reach this point of second base where we now feel or begin to experience some level of success. But you know you're ready to start moving toward third base whenever you start closing the gap. I love the calculation I presented in the last episode called the Millionaire Next Door Calculation Gap. And what they're doing is they're trying to show where your net worth should be at this particular phase of your life, giving your income. If just as a precursor, if you're 40 years of age, you take 40, you multiply it by your pre-tax income, then divide it by 10, and that gives you your net worth. So I've got a calculator here in front of me, and we're going to do this in real time just to give you a couple examples as a refresher. So let's say that somebody is 43 years of age, and let's say they make $200,000 a year in pre-tax income. We're going to take that number. We're going to then divide that by 10, and our net worth should be roughly $860,000. Whenever we've reached that point, it is time for us to stop standing still on second and begin to actively cast our eyes toward the third base coach. Let's do another one just for kicks and giggles so we can talk through it. Let's say that you're 51 years of age and you're used to making, as a business owner, $350,000 a year, and we divide that by 10. It means your net worth should be $1.785 million. That should be your net worth. You're well on your way to reaching the status of third base. So how do you know when you're ready to move from second to third? It's a simple calculation. You begin building assets. And your assets amass to a certain level to where you know, hey, it's time to move forward. So let's talk about the journey. You know, the journey from second to third is not repetitive from first to second. We're not trying to rebuild habits. In this case, it's actually mundane. It's very boring. You see, from going to first to second, it was hard to teach yourself a habit of, I should save more. I should invest in my company. I should buy some alternative assets like real estate, something that is different than my company. I'm trying to de-risk. I'm trying to leverage. I'm trying to pay off debt. I'm trying to build equity, whatever it may be. First to second is all about building the muscle memory of your financial life. But as difficult as it was to go from first to second, moving to third is mundane. It's repetition. See, you've already done the hard work. You've already got the muscle memory in place. Now it's just a rinse and repeat, do it over again, create more, continue to create the process. I can remember getting in shape for a half Ironman. And man, the stress my body was under to participate in that grueling event was ridiculous. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed every minute of it. Well, not really, but I enjoyed accomplishing the half Ironman. But then once my body was used to it, then to do another half Ironman or a full marathon or those things, it didn't really create the same angst in my life. It was just a rinse and repeat. So the goal is to get to third base. The goal is to get to where our assets are providing us enough income to cover the cost of our lifestyle. That's the goal of third base. So how do we get to third base? It's one simple word, friends. One simple word. Compounding interest. Compounding interest is the key. I wish I could teach this principle. There's so many people that you've ever seen like the old black and white movies where the patriarch of the family would grab the little kid by the cheek and just squeeze it and say, "Look at me, son," or "Look at me, boy." I wish I could do that to so many people that I love deeply about the power of compound interest. Investopedia defines it as the interest on a loan or deposit calculated on both initial principal, and the accumulated interest from previous periods. I've given this illustration on the podcast before, but for the new listeners, there's a study or a little mathematical calculation that I love to teach high schoolers when I go speak at high schools or colleges. I've been asked to speak at a couple of graduations around the country, and I love to teach the concept of a penny doubled every day for 30 days. And what I often do is I'll ask the audience, would you rather have this penny, this magical penny that doubles every day for the next 31 days, or would you rather have $1.52 million today? And inevitably, most people would say, I'd rather have the $1.52 million today. And it doesn't matter what dollar I put on there until they discover, hey, this penny is magical. 1 cent today is 2 cents tomorrow. 2 cents is 4 cents. 4 cents is 8 cents. 8, 16, 32. You can keep going. 64. We can keep going and going and going. And by the time you reach day 30, you're at $5 million plus in dollars. And by day 31, you're at $10 million. The power of compounding interest. Kate Ryan, the director of investment solutions for TIAA Creft is another name you might recognize, stated that, and I quote, "Compounding happens when earnings on savings are reinvested to generate their own earnings. Those in turns are reinvested to generate their own earnings, and so on. So over time, compounding can add a lot of value because you have more time periods, more earnings, and those earnings are earnings. Another word is just compounds. Compound interest, friends, is the key. So if you want to make your trek easier from this millionaire next door calculation of second base to getting to third base where your assets are providing you the income that you need, the power, the secret sauce is in compounding. You see, another capability you can do is as you're compounding your assets, as they're growing, the next phase is more than likely your income is increasing. Perhaps through your business, through your job, your income that you're making today is probably higher than it was 5 years ago. As you're making more money, another secret sauce is not only compounding interest, but it's allowing the spread of your lifestyle and your earnings. And if you can take and increase your investing, take and use your surplus over your lifestyle to magnify or intensify the speed of which you move from second to third, it's a win-win. So what do I mean? Let's say hypothetically, for round numbers, that you have a lifestyle that you live on $50,000 a year. And I said hypothetically for round numbers. Let's say you live on $50,000 a year and that you're currently making, for round numbers, $75,000. Well, there's an opportunity in my simple illustration that you could save $25,000. You could take the $25,000 and use it to increase your net worth. That is the idea behind savings and investing. Perhaps you take that $25,000 and you place it into an investment account, or use it to buy some piece of real estate, or perhaps you use it to reinvest in your company to drive the value of your company. Whatever you're going to do with that $25,000, it is what it is. But that's this year. Next year, though, your earnings increased to $100,000. And now you not only do you have $25,000, you now have $50,000. By deploying that $50,000 and holding your lifestyle to the same magnitude as it was prior to the pay raise, you now have more money that you can pour into your trip between second and third. You can allow that new earnings to snowball and to create earnings upon earnings upon earnings. It's like reinvesting your income in the same fashion that we would reinvest dividends or interest or gains from our portfolios. The goal, friends, is to begin shifting our mind away from reliance upon our income, what we do day in, day out, the job that we have, the business that we sacrifice so much for. The idea is to shift our minds away from this normalcy of society, this handcuff, this prison cell that society's in, and move ourselves into a position to where the assets that we are accumulating, our real estate, our portfolios, our business, everything that provides us an interest or a dividend or an income, that whenever we reach third base, we find ourselves being able to live the lifestyle we desire off the yields from our portfolio, from our assets. So friends, as hard as first is to second, to move from first to second and setting up those habits, moving from second and third can be fun. It's also between moving to second and third that people often trip or they have catastrophic failure. Friends, if any of this makes sense, if you need help, reach out. This is what we do. We have a team of professionals nationwide who can help you lay out the wealth game for you and your family. I say it every week, friends, and I genuinely mean it. We are a blessed people. We are blessed beyond measure. The ability for us to even think and grasp the idea that we can move from second base to third base, to having a position that our assets can provide our income versus us having to physically work is amazing. The very fact that we have the ability to think through that and we have the opportunity to participate is amazing. We are blessed people. So many across their world does not have that opportunity. We're truly blessed. But it can be frustrating. We're always concerned. Let me not say we. I'm always concerned that I'm messing up, that I'm making a wrong step in this journey around the wealth game. I know you might share the same sentiment. It doesn't have to be frustrating. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Y'all make it a great one.